with the incoming Trump administration. He said that this ceasefire deal would be one that he thinks Donald Trump would support. What are your thoughts on that? Is he right?
Well, I've seen the reporting as well, and it's no surprise that the incoming administration is talking to the outgoing administration. We did the same thing during the transition in 2016, just to get, the lay of the land, their best advice. I mean, you may or may not choose to follow it. These are two very different presidents with very different worldviews, but, there is a sense of sharing best information and, what has happened over the course of the last 4 years and where they see possibilities. So that's pretty unsurprising, and yes, Hochstein has been very involved, particularly in the Israel-Lebanon negotiations. The problem with this deal is one of the key actors is Hezbollah. They don't have a great track record of actually fulfilling their commitments. This fighting could end tomorrow if they gave up their, extra military, their non-Lebanese armed forces armaments that they're getting from Iran.
Well, and part of that deal, and we heard that there earlier, is that UNIFIL, the UN peacekeepers, the Lebanese armed forces, they'll be monitoring this ceasefire. They'll be in that territory that Hezbollah is meant to be leaving. How confident are you that those two groups are willing to keep the peace?
Well, that's the problem, is they haven't been able to keep the peace over the course of recent decades. And so also under the terms of the deal, Israel reserves the right to go back in. There's apparently some kind of mechanism for coordination with the United States and with the LIF. So that they can go do mop-up operations if necessary. But as I said, this could be ended tomorrow by Hezbollah. The problem is that they're not a good actor. They are obviously a designated foreign terrorist organization, and they have a habit of regrouping and then attacking Israel again. So it's sort of a kick the can for the next 60 days, now 58 days, I guess, since the implementation of the deal. But certainly, Israel needs a rest, needs resupply. So for those reasons, I think, yes, the incoming would support this.
The focus now will likely be turning, of course, to the conflict ongoing in Gaza. How do you expect the Trump administration coming in might approach negotiations between Hamas and Israel, and, of course, the issue of freeing the remaining hostages?
Yes, and I think very important to remember there are at least 7 Americans, hopefully half of them alive, amongst the 101 hostages that remain in Gaza. I think President Trump has been very, very clear. He wants a deal. And if Hamas and the Palestinian civilians who are holding those hostages have any hope of a more productive relationship with the incoming Trump administration, they would be very well advised to let them go. Possibly the day of the inauguration, the way Iran did in 1981. I think that is something the president takes extremely seriously, and had a great record of hostage recovery during his first term. So I think that's going to be the top priority. And then winding up this war on terms that are favorable to Israel, obviously, but getting the killing stopped. And of course, many of us in the first Trump administration worked hard on an offer for the Palestinians, the Peace Through Prosperity plan. I'm sure ideas like that will be back on the table if the Palestinians wish to discuss it.
We've got about 60 seconds left, but I did want to touch on Iran, because that was also a big focus of Donald Trump's first administration, obviously taking the U.S. out of that nuclear deal with Iran. What kind of approach are we likely to see when he takes office once again?
Yeah, I think there will be a tremendous spotlight on the Iranian nuclear program, which has made extraordinary leaps and bounds over the course of the last 4 years. We've had 2 IAEA reports this week alone discussing the kind of progress they've made. They've gone from enriching at less than 10% when President Trump left office to now over 60%, some say close to 80%. That's a different world, Carl, than what President Trump handed to President Biden in 2020. So I think that's going to be one of their top priorities, one of their most serious issues they're going to have to deal with. And I think one of the next announcements that will come in terms of the transition will be his Iran envoy. And I think that will send a strong signal about where they're headed.
All right, Victoria Coates, former Deputy National Security Advisor to Donald Trump in his first administration. Thank you.